This is inner motion. We don't run from the dark, we walk straight into it, and we come out unrecognizably. You keep waiting until you feel like it. That's why nothing changes. That's why your discipline keeps breaking. That's why your momentum disappears every time it starts to build. You're still worshiping your feelings, still checking in with your mood before you move, still thinking motivation is supposed to show up first. But the truth is, your feelings lie. Your feelings shift. Your feelings can be triggered by the weather, by someone else's opinion, by a bad night of sleep. And if you let those feelings dictate your behavior, you'll stay stuck in cycles, starting strong, then quitting quietly, inspired one day, then numb the next, because you were never meant to be led by emotion. You were meant to lead it. Discipline is not about suppressing how you feel. It's about moving anyway, even when the emotion isn't there, even when the energy feels off, even when the passion disappears, because that's the moment where the real growth begins. Not when you feel inspired, but when you feel nothing and still choose to act. You don't need to feel like it. You need to remember who you are. You need to remember what you said you'd do. You need to honor the rhythm, not the mood, because moods change, but rhythm builds. You want confidence? Show up. You want discipline? Repeat it. You want progress? Stop negotiating with emotion. You don't need to scream. You don't need to hype yourself up. You just need to move. One action, one breath, one set at a time. And if you do that long enough, you'll stop waiting to feel ready. You'll stop needing to feel anything. Because the action becomes automatic. The movement becomes identity. That's where freedom begins. Not when you feel like it, but when it no longer matters whether you do or not. Rest is not the enemy. Rest is not weakness. But rest without rhythm becomes escape. And you weren't made to escape. You were made to evolve. There's a difference between rest that resets you and rest that avoids the work, between recovery that fuels you and laziness that drains you quietly. Real discipline doesn't reject rest. It respects it, because rest is part of the cycle, not an excuse to break it. You don't take a break because it's convenient. You take a break because it's strategic, because you've earned it, because you're reloading, not retreating. The disciplined know how to pause, but they never stop. They know how to breathe without forgetting where they're going. Obsession isn't about being on all the time. It's about knowing when to push and when to recover, so you can push again. That's what balance really looks like. Not half effort, but full effort, followed by full recovery, then full effort again. Because this isn't about burning out, it's about burning brighter. And a flame without oxygen dies. So breathe when you need to, refuel when you have to, but don't confuse comfort with clarity. And don't let temporary stillness become permanent softness. You rest like a professional, not like a quitter. You recover like a soldier sharpening the blade, not like someone walking away from the battle. When you understand this, rest becomes part of your discipline, not a break from it. And that's what makes you consistent. That's what keeps your rhythm alive. Even when the world tries to throw you off, you don't rest to feel good. You rest to feel ready. So when it's time to go again, you don't hesitate. You're locked in. You're clear. You're ready to move with or without motivation. Asterisk, you don't need more motivation. You need more rhythm. You need a structure that runs no matter how you feel. You need a system that survives your worst day, because feelings will trick you, but rhythm will carry you. When you build rhythm into your life, you don't wait for energy. You don't negotiate with emotion. You just show up again and again. It's not about feeling powerful. It's about becoming reliable. It's not about highs and inspiration. It's about showing up low and still doing the work. The obsessed don't rely on how they feel. They rely on what they've built. Habits, structure, systems. They build a schedule that makes decisions for them. Wake up, train, eat, work, repeat. And it becomes so embedded in their identity that breaking it feels unnatural, that skipping it feels wrong. That's rhythm. That's what frees you. Not hype, not intensity, but simple, quiet consistency. You're not trying to be explosive. You're trying to be automatic. You're not looking for the next spark. You're focused on keeping the engine running. When rhythm is in place, you don't chase energy. You create it through repetition, through alignment, through commitment to your own pattern. And that's how you stay consistent, even on bad days, even in chaos, even when everything else falls apart, because you've built a system that doesn't ask. It just moves, and that's what makes you dangerous. Not that you're the most talented, not that you're the most motivated, but that you're the most steady, the most grounded, the most unshakable. You don't feel your way through the work. You rhythm your way through it, and that's what makes you unstoppable. Every time you move without waiting, every time you act without needing to feel ready, every time you show up regardless of emotion, you cast a vote for who you're becoming. This is deeper than goals. This is identity. This is rewiring the story you tell yourself, because every action says something. Not to the world, but to you. It says, I'm someone who follows through. I'm someone who finishes. I'm someone who honors their word, even when it's hard. You don't become disciplined by thinking about it. You become disciplined by acting in alignment with it. Over and over, until it's no longer something you do. It's who you are. You stop saying, I should work out, and start saying, I train. You stop saying, I should eat better, and start saying, I fuel my body. You stop chasing the behavior, because the behavior has become part of your character. That's what real change looks like. Not loud, not dramatic, but internal. Gradual, permanent. The goal isn't to feel like a new person. The goal is to become one. Brick by brick, rep by rep, decision by decision. You don't need a breakthrough. You need proof, daily proof, that you are who you say you are, that your actions match your values, that your path matches your purpose. And if you do that long enough, you don't need to convince yourself anymore, because belief has already taken root. That's when it clicks. That's when the rhythm becomes real. That's when you stop looking for motivation, because your new identity has taken over. You no longer need to force yourself to act. You act because it's who you are. You train because it feels wrong not to. You move because the movement is now yours. This is the transformation no one sees. Not in your body, but in your being. You didn't wait to become the person you wanted to be. You acted like them until you were. And now you are. You don't need to feel like it, because you've already become it. Asterisk. You spend so much energy asking, do I feel like it today? Do I have the drive? Am I in the right headspace? But the ones who stay consistent, they don't ask. They act because they've learned to detach from the noise, detach from the mood, detach from the highs and lows that used to rule their lives. They don't ignore their feelings. They just don't hand them the steering wheel. You can feel tired and still move. You can feel off and still follow through. You can feel heavy and still show up. That's what freedom looks like. Not waiting until you're okay, but learning how to keep moving even when you're not. It's not about being a machine. It's about becoming emotionally mature. About being so aligned with your vision that you don't need constant confirmation from your emotions to keep going. Discipline is emotional detachment with direction. It's when your actions are led by commitment, not chemistry. And once you master that, everything becomes simpler. You stop overthinking. You stop second-guessing. You stop negotiating with every mood swing. You just follow the plan, because the plan was written by the version of you who was clear, who was focused, who knew what mattered. So when the feelings come, you let them pass. You observe them, you move anyway, because movement is medicine. Discipline is clarity. And clarity doesn't need to feel good. It just needs to be true. You don't avoid your emotions. You rise above them. You train through them. You act without asking. And in that detachment, you become dangerous, because nothing owns you anymore. Not stress, not fear, not doubt, not even your own mood. You don't wait for alignment. You create it through rhythm, through movement, through unshakable repetition. You don't need to feel like it, because discipline already chose for you. Asterisk, asterisk. At some point, you stop trying to convince yourself. You stop arguing with your mood. You stop overanalyzing every dip in energy, and you just move. You move because it's who you are now. You train because it's no longer optional. It's rhythm. It's ritual. It's the way you return to yourself. You don't wait for inspiration. You don't chase emotion. You don't negotiate with resistance. You move because that's what the discipline do. Not when it's easy, not when it's perfect, but always. And this is where the transformation completes. Not when you feel different, but when you behave differently. Automatically, quietly, powerfully. You're not trying to be consistent anymore. You are consistency. You're not searching for discipline. You've become disciplined. This is what obsession looks like when it's calm, when it's centered, when it no longer screams, it just acts. And people will wonder how you do it, how you stay so steady, so focused, so clear. They won't understand the thousands of moments when you moved without motivation, when you acted without feeling, when you chose the path without needing to. Feel ready. That's the part they never see. That's the version of you they don't know. The one who didn't need hype, didn't need validation, didn't need to be in the mood. The version who simply decided and then kept deciding over and over until the decision became identity. And that's the real flex. That's the quiet power. That's the life you build when you stop waiting to feel like it and start becoming someone who moves regardless. You don't wait for belief, you build it. You don't wait to become the person you admire. You move like them until you are them, because movement isn't just physical, it's identity in motion. It's choosing your future self with every step you take today, every small action, every mundane repetition, every quiet decision to show up is shaping someone you haven't even met yet. And that's the power. You don't feel your way into becoming, you act your way there. Deliberately, consistently, patiently, not for quick results, not for a dopamine rush, but because you understand something most never will, that change happens in silence, that greatness builds in the background, that your feelings don't get to vote. You've already decided, and the movement is the proof. No announcements, no declarations, just rhythm, just action, just daily choices made in the dark that transform you in the light. You want to be proud of who you are, then move like someone you can respect. You want to build confidence, then keep the promises no one else sees. You want to evolve, then stop waiting, stop checking how you feel. Start choosing who you are by how you move, because that's how it works. That's how you transform. You move, and so you become. You don't need motivation. You need rhythm. You don't need hype. You need clarity. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to move. Because the moment you stop letting your feelings decide and start letting your actions define, everything changes. The momentum comes back, the confidence returns, the rhythm builds, and suddenly you're no longer chasing transformation. You are the transformation. This is the path, this is the work, this is inner motion, asterisk.